Go.
Hello and welcome to Against the Fence. My name's Sai, this is JK, and we're about to take you through UFC 298, Volkanovski versus Topuria.
And happy Valentine's Day, singletons.
Oh yeah.
If you're joining us here tonight, then you are single. Because you're clearly not out on a date night with your other half.
I mean, why would you want to be?
Exactly.
Where else would you want to be if not right here, right now, with us as we will sort of break down the most epic UFC fight card we've seen this year to date, I would
That's
say.
right, exactly.
This one's going to be mad. This is a pay-per-view UFC 298. And this one we've been actually kind of been tickling our pickle for best part of 2-3 months, isn't it?
Oh, this is probably the most anticipated featherweight fight in a long time. I was thinking about to myself earlier on today, what was the last one? And it could have been maybe
Volkanovski, Machado didn't really do it for you, did it?
Well, it's a lightweight. We're talking about featherweight here, but I'm thinking of like maybe Volkanovski Ortega. That could have been quite highly anticipated at the time, but if not, it probably would have been a Conor McGregor fight for me at featherweight.
Volkanovski just been holding it down. He is levels above, and no one's really been scratching him since. I mean, that's why he had to step into lightweight division in order to test his abilities, because no one really was doing it at his current class. But although that said, Holloway gave him a good run. Was it the second time?
I think maybe the second Holloway fight was probably quite anticipated.
It was the closest one.
Fair. And then that was probably the last one.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
After that, he didn't really sort of bring anything new, which was...
Well, you look at previous opponents like Yair Rodriguez, we'd seen lose in the past. All right, it was a unique threat to Volkanovski, but we kind of had confidence in Volkanovski in that. Other than that, I mean, the rest of it we'll get into a little bit later on, of course.
I guess so. All right, well, here we are. We're looking at this particular one. Shall I get a card up? Where are we going to start? Top or bottom or bottom?
We'll go from the bottom first.
All right, so let's get down to the
finishing
bottom
off with the main event itself.
So starting this card off, we've got Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. And that's going to be in the middleweight division as well. So if I get that to spring open. Do you have any chats there at the moment?
Yeah, we've got Breezy says hello. Yes, hello, Breezy. We've got Canadian Bacon who says hello all, and Lord Breezy. So yeah, smash a like on the video if you've not done so already, guys. And of course, hit the subscribe button if you've just joining us. Yes, this is a breakdown show like none other. It's a very unique style to it. Whereas shortly later on, we'll be breaking down the striking, grappling, power, speed, and cardio of each of the 5 main fight card.
That's a little bit of the unique thing we do over here, really. We don't really tell you guys how to think, but we teach you how to think when it comes to looking at the nuances in the games and how the different fighting styles are going to be comparing against each other. So we'll go through the card and give you guys all of the information you need. But feel free to drop in the chats and let us know what your opinions are in terms of who's going to win it.
Absolutely.
I'm keen to find out if there's any upsets.
Yeah, let's kick things off with Hernandez versus Kopylov then, shall we?
All right, so in the red corner, you got 11-2-0, and then you got 12-2 for Kopylov in the blue corner. Now, height-wise, they're pretty much bang on even, and reach-wise, again, that's also pretty even. The big difference is here, you're going to have someone who's predominantly more striking over someone who loves his wrestling, and is also a bit of a brawler. My question for you quickly, JK, though, on Hernandez is, we all know he's an absolute dog. We've actually seen him get pushed through the pits of adversity over time as well. And he's actually come out victorious too, which has been pretty impressive. But the question really is, how far can he outlast the storm of Kopylov? Now, this guy has sort of been revered as the hardest striker in one of them anyway, in the middleweight division.
Yeah.
And
he's definitely an exciting prospect. Yeah. At the moment, given his recent form. Hernandez, however, I mean...
Has he got what it takes to slug out on the feet?
I think he probably can, because I think he's going to try and dig deep. He's Mexican as well. He's got that grit. So if he's able to get into Kopylov's face early and just kind of not let him settle with his striking patterns and his rhythm, then maybe Hernandez has a chance on the feet. And if he just makes it dirty... clinches up, a lot of elbows inside, a lot of dirty boxing, then I think he can make this an ugly one for Kopylov. But again, it depends on whether or not he just comes in there and respects Kopylov's abilities.
Yeah. He's been known to give a little respect to people before, hasn't he? But do you reckon he would? He can contend on the feet there? You think that's a chance?
In close range, yes.
Yeah.
Out range, no. I can't see it.
Nah.
Yeah,
fair enough. I see where you're going with that. I personally think his best chance is probably going to be to take it to the ground. Because if you look at Kopylov on the other side, I mean, this guy is someone who finishes his food.
Yeah.
12 wins and 11 knockouts will probably tell you that as well. The stand-up game of this guy is his domain, basically. But do you think that the points that this kind of points to an obvious game plan for Hernandez then? Do you think that this kind of fighting style, the fact he's so dangerous with his hands?
Yeah, and we know that he's got a good jiu-jitsu game as well. You know, he's very sneaky with his neck attacks. He's pulling for guillotine chokes. No, for Hernandez.
Right. So he's going to be doing the wrestling.
Yeah, he's going to be one trying to outwork Kopylov in this, really.
Do you reckon he can keep him down like Juayev? Because basically what I was saying is, yes, he's been knocking people out, but his last challenge that Kopylov has had was against Juayev back when they wrestled, 2.5 years ago. Do you think that Hernandez has that kind of wrestling ability? Or is it more just a submission threat with this kid?
I've seen glimpses of a wrestling threat from him, but I wouldn't say I'd say he's quite sort of basic in terms of his takedowns. He needs the cage in order to get his opponents down. But once he gets them there, I wouldn't say it's his world as such, but he's shown some great submissions. Of course, he submitted Rodolfo Vieira, which is, an insane name to have in the jiu-jitsu world.
Yeah.
But, you got to play into the factor that this is MMA. Cardio wasn't on Rodolfo Vieira's side in that fight, and Hernandez basically took advantage of that.
He has a feather in the cap, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, what it says here, he's a brown belt, so he's got some good jiu-jitsu to his game. I think that's where he's going to want to shine against Kopylov and really probably tie up the head and arm choke or something like that on the ground if he's able to get Kopylov on his back.
Yeah. I guess if you look at significant strikes, you can see with Hernandez, he's someone who's a go-getter when he gets in there. Literally, it's like a bat out of hell when he starts. 62% of significant strikes to Kopylov's 53%. I just think Kopylov's more accurate, more time in it.
We'll let the guys in the chats ponder on those stats for a second because we will bring up some chats for now. Canadian Bacon says Kopylov has been quite on recently. His striking is sharp and his stamina are excellent as well. His endurance is excellent. He was meant to say. Ash is in the house. Yes.
What's up, Ash? How you doing? How's the missus? How's the lady?
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, sir. And get your thoughts on and your predictions on this fight. Because, we'll get into the gauge before we get into predictions. Let's move on then to the gauge. Who we're going to give it.
Real quickly, before we do that. There's no odds here. I was thinking what the odds would look like in this one. I'm actually particularly interested to see what they had carved up for it. All right, no worries. Let's have a look at those gauges, shall we?
Yeah.
So we are talking about fight one here.
I think it's pretty obvious we'll give striking to Roman Kopylov.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. And probably give grappling to Anthony Hernandez as well. Power, probably, that left kick of his is absolutely devastating and he's got some power. I mean, both guys have got some knockout power with themselves. It would be mostly Kopylov. We can see it getting it done on the feet. Speed-wise...
maybe Kopylov for me. Yeah. I'll go Kopylov.
Yeah.
And then cardio
we'll go for Mexican, of course.
Mexican heart.
So that's 3-2 to Kopylov.
Please, extremely.
Okay, let's ignore that then. 3-2 to Kopylov, giving striking power and speed to him, whereas grappling and cardio to Anthony Hernandez. It comes down to a few factors for me. I think it all depends on Kopylov's movement. Is he able to maintain that center of the octagon, rotate round, avoid Hernandez pressing him against the cage, and just kind of trying to set up that left high kick, He might want to use Hernandez's momentum against him a little bit, but it's going to be fine margins, when it comes to firing the right shot at the right time.
And look, we've seen how Kopylov struggles against a wrestler. You got before him on the night a wrestler.
He's got good takedown defense. That's the thing.
He does, yeah. I mean, it's actually a 92% given. I mean, I think it was Juayev that really put a scuffer on it. But he doesn't really have fights that go that much of a distance, give people a chance to go to takedowns. And I know for a fact, if Hernandez wants to come in there and brawl with his hands, couple of touches from Kopylov, that will bring the grappler out in him. He's not going to want to be standing with that power. And effectively, I do think If that does happen, we could see a very different Kopylov. The cardio will be important for Hernandez to kind of keep it up throughout the fight. But seeing wrestling as a kryptonite to Kopylov, does it really overshadow the 4-fight win streak and the impressive performance he's put on for us these last couple of years? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
could really scuff it.
I know. Looking at just recent wins, though, I think that Anthony Hernandez has probably got the better in recent wins. So you've got his last one was against Adrian Shabazian. Okay, it was back and forth on the ground, but he got the TKO win late in round 3. Marc-Andre Barriou submitted him late in round 3. Josh Fremd, mutual opponent in recent times. And then, of course, Rodolfo Vieira, who is, a bit of a jiu-jitsu phenom, as I said, submitted him. So that's two submissions and 1 TKO, 1 decision. Whereas Roman Kopylov, on the other hand, he's had wins against Josh Fremd, mutual, as I said a second ago. Claudio Ribeiro, okay, not too bad. Soriano, he's had his ups and downs in the UFC, and Alessio Di Chirico, I don't think is no longer with the organization, but he's a pretty good kickboxer in himself. So out of those lists, I would give Anthony Hernandez better competition recent, and I think I'm going to go with Anthony Hernandez on the night as well. I think he's going to be able to execute his game plan, make it ugly, and maybe get the submission.
Yeah, it does look likely for me. A lot can be upset with the hands of Kopylov. I just don't know if he has the ability to really put to bed that wrestling from Hernandez.
I don't know. Actually, I'm going to subtract that. I think I would say Hernandez decision. Just because I could see maybe a lot of takedown stuff from Kopylov, but it's going to come down to the scoring with Hernandez when it's against the cage and it's the elbows inside and just kind of almost rinse and repeat, just being relentless and using his cardio as a weapon. So I'm going to go with Hernandez decision.
I guess also bearing in mind, as I was talking about the grit of this guy, he might be able to withstand a couple of those punches from Hernandez, from Kopylov.
Let's see who we got in. So we've got Coach Bald in the house. Yo, Coach Bald here. What's good? Up, Coach? Good to see you. Says, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
No, sir.
And he says, just subscribe. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the place where... it's the place to be where fans can release their opinions. Opinions matter most over here on this channel. So make sure you get your predictions.
Coach is a guy, man.
He is. He says, "What's up, Ash? I took Volk minus 110.
Bang.
Woo! What other bets have you got coming into this weekend? Have you made any yet?
Yeah, it's here
and
in the
who are you going
below.
for with these fights? Let us know.
You know that Coach guy,
and smash a like on the video.
Apparently
Coach
when
from
the cops need cops, they call him.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
He's the man.
He's that guy.
Indeed.
He's that guy. Wow. All right, cool. Let's get the next fight up on the card and let's see where we're at. Bang. So we're going to be looking at bantamweight division.
Man.
Oh man,
this fight.
This is happening.
This fight. I don't think this is as much of a whitewash as people think it's going to be.
She'll look into it. All right. So we have Merab Dvalishvili in the red corner. He's going to be 16-4 in his record. And you've got Henry Cejudo in the blue corner once again with 16-3. Now, height-wise, there's not a lot in it. Reach-wise, there's about 4-inch advantage for the Dvalishvili, the Georgian, in the red corner. Stylistically, you've got someone who's always on in energy and output-wise versus someone who's really
very technical.
Yeah.
And very smart as well in his approach as Henry Cejudo. Of course, former Olympic gold medalist, former 2-time champion as well. Yes, he had the hiatus, came back, fell short against Aljo, but he did make it competitive against Aljo after all that layoff. And we got to kind of give him that in a way.
He did, yeah. I mean, he kind of was able to adapt in the fight. And that's what's crucial. That's what's crucial. He's got that analytical mind. He's able to do that. He's been in it for years. So in the red corner real quickly then. So we see cardio incarnate with Dvalishvili. Like steps into the ring and his 5-round performance against Yan, of course, that left us no less amazed at the limit this man has for his stamina. Limitless stamina, should I say. But if you could actually bottle his blood, you'd probably solve an energy crisis. 5 rounds can benefit him. We know that. We saw it against Yan, right? But what if 3 rounds, wouldn't that lean more in Cejudo's favor? That could benefit Cejudo, the fact he just...
I don't know. Not necessarily, because, with 3 rounds, it depends. Merab can slow down if he gets to it. I know he's a cardio machine, but it just means if you got more rounds, you got more time in there. More time to, of course, adjust as the fight goes on. Because we saw Cejudo really come into his own late into that Sterling fight.
Yeah.
So, of course, if it's a short amount of time, it just means you're going to get a higher paced fight potentially.
Yeah. Do you reckon Merab has a higher setting to what you've shown us before?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I wouldn't necessarily mean
5-4-5.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily mean that because it's a 3-round, it would benefit Cejudo, because I think Merab can go balls to the wall for 2 rounds and then take three off, and then that's it. He's won the fight.
Yeah.
Whereas going into that third round, third round, having been 2 up, he's still got 3 rounds to play. And that's where Cejudo could very well score his biggest shots. So
you don't think that would be a particular factor? But
no.
Bear in mind though, the last loss we had against someone with for Merab Dvalishvili was against someone who had some strong wrestling. So that was Ricky Simone, if you remember.
It was.
Now he's who's going to be initiating the grappling tonight? Do you reckon that will be Cejudo, or would it be Dvalishvili?
You'd automatically expect Merab, but Cejudo, like we said, is smart, and he could very well be the first one to do it, or try and make sure that he's the first one to do it to catch Merab off of guard. Because that's, I think, what was part of Cejudo's game plan going into the Sterling fight, was he wanted to initiate first and be the one to take Sterling down first, just to play on Sterling's mind here.
But also, Sterling was pretty. There was a feather in his cap to get a takedown back himself.
It was back and forth. The scrambles were insane.
No one takes Cejudo down.
Exactly. But with Cejudo, it comes down to the smaller details that he does that are really good. When it comes to like things like head control, wrist control, head control, and his overall base for wrestling, which of course a lot of fans won't necessarily pick up on. And that's what made that Sterling fight so entertaining and back and forth. Was because they were constantly going, one was initiating and the other one was defending, and then the tides were switching so fast. And I can see the same happening in this fight.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I was just looking here at some of the striking differentials, and you do have more landed per minute by Merab Dvalishvili just because his output's there, but significant strikes. I guess you got that from Cejudo there too. But I guess for Henry, he's been really interested in this fight for a while. So I know we was watching earlier in the week, wasn't we, some tape. It's his YouTube channel, wasn't it?
Yes.
His Triple C YouTube channel, where he was basically breaking down the Merab versus Ilia fight. And now
this was prior to his fight with Sterling.
Yeah. This was way back. And he was calling out. He was saying, look, guys, if Sterling doesn't show, then please give me a Merab instead. I'll take that, because he was interested in how Merab fights. And he also broke down how Merab should be taking advantage or taking down Ilia.
Yeah.
And Merab was doing that to the T in that particular matchup. So my question really here is, we know how analytical Cejudo is. We know how he studied Merab. Do you think he's got his number tonight, on the night?
I mean, it all comes down to pace for me. And if he's able to just not let Cejudo settle, I think we're probably expecting Cejudo to kind of be a little bit reserved and take his time a little bit, and for Merab to kind of close distance, get in his face early. But, I think we could be in for a shock. That's what I'm saying a second ago. And it could be Cejudo who's actually pushing the pace.
Imagine.
As well. I just think it's just going to be an absolute back and forth war, to be honest. Maybe for Merab, it'll probably come down to his strength and his ability to, make it ugly.
I'm going to need to get the gauges on this one because
it's gonna be hard.
And we'll get it up and then we'll do some chats. But the reason why I'm going to need help with the gauges for this is because I feel like someone like Cejudo would just welcome the takedown entries from Merab, overturn him or weigh on him, and just nullify it. And then when Merab's wrestling is not that effective, let's see how Cejudo can use that to his advantage as well. And we also know that the power is going to be on Cejudo's side. When you look at the amount of wins by, I mean, it's like, Dvalishvili takes everyone to a decision. He basically does marathons.
Yeah.
It's 50-50 for Cejudo, but he does have more power. And I think that'll probably be a real quick, easy one to whack on the board, right? Power going over to Cejudo.
Yeah, and I would also be tempted to put striking for Cejudo as well. I like his wide stance that he utilizes. I think the way that he finished Wilson Hayes back in the day was pretty spectacular. It was a moment where Cejudo no longer became Cejudo the wrestler. He became Cejudo the mixed martial artist.
Wrestler.
Because the way he finished him was just spectacular, and he kind of went on there. He was kind of coming off of 2 losses as well. Lost against Demetrius Johnson, who just need the hell out of him in the clinch, and then split decision against Joey Benavidez. But yeah, that TKO against Wilson Hayes was spectacular. Yeah. And of course he TKO'd TJ Dillashaw, which you could say TJ was depleting himself. Some may have argued it was an early stoppage as well, so maybe we didn't get to see the best in that fight. But then after that, the way he shut down Marlon Moraes was really impressive as well, because Marlon was peppering his legs early in that first round, really trying to take the sting out of Cejudo's sails in there. And he just overcame Morales, who eventually faded. So
he did well. No, I think that's fair enough to say. Striking, he would have that. Grappling, I'd probably even give to Cejudo as well.
I'd give cardio and speed to Merab. And then grappling,
I'll give that to Cejudo, in my opinion.
Oh, he's a gold medalist, of course, and Merab's come from that kind of Sambo background.
I reckon...
but has he really faced someone on Cejudo's level?
Merab uses his grappling to really give different looks. He doesn't necessarily use it to advance to submission or use it to get the fight ending. He kind of uses it as a different offensive.
He weighs on you with it, like he did in the Jose Aldo fight.
He uses it's just another tool that he can hit you with, so you can be thinking about it and reacting to when he shoots at you, and he can start landing up top of the hands. Someone like Cejudo, he would use the grappling more for a fight-ending decision, safe decision, fight-ending reason. But yeah, and I think he might be the heavier guy who can just sit down and stifle it, but also overturn it in this scenario. Yeah. So in this fight, I think he will probably utilize it better, more so than Merab will. Ooh. Which then leaves us with, what tools does Merab have to get it done? If not going to be the grappling.
I know.
It's cardio. That's
it is just constantly. Maybe just frustrating Cejudo in a lot of ways. I think that's where he could really shine. If he's just constantly rinse and repeat, kind of reversing position, getting back on the offense again, strike, level changing. I don't know. It's a really intriguing fight. I think it easily could be a co-main.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I'm looking at the fights above it, and I'm like, this is not as they're not as exciting for me.
Do you know what? This is why UFC 300 is difficult as well, because not saying I would have any of these as a main event on there, but just the fact that it's just so well stacked, 298 and 299 beforehand. They're setting up a rod for their own back when it comes down to it.
But I do think that Merab, I think people are expecting a Merab win just purely because Cejudo is coming on the latter end of his career now. He's 37, so I think people are weighing heavily on that. And maybe so would I in a lot of ways. I'm still undecided on who I'm picking. Honestly, am.
Is that what this event's going to be? It's just going to be like a young buck coming in and washing out the old.
Yeah. That's another thing as well. It's what's Cejudo's body going to be like after? I guess the Sterling fight was relentless itself, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I'll say that
somewhat. I was thinking, what's the age of Geoff Neal? Because that could also be. Oh, he's 28.
He's 33. He's pretty young, to be fair. It's quite surprising.
Fair enough. All right, shall we get into the next one on the card?
Yeah, all right, let's get it up.
Next one up on the card, we're looking down a battle of the welterweight division, and it's Geoff Neal versus Ian Machado Garry. In the red corner, you got 15-5. Blue corner, 13 and undefeated. So out of Ireland and United States, the taller fighter is going to be in Garry at 6'3", to Geoff Neal's 5'11". The advantages, like the clear ones, I would say it's just going to be in that height, really. But reach and leg kicking range, it's going to be pretty much on par.
That's
although we know he's going
surprising.
to be huge. It is a bit surprising. Now, I'm not sure if I kind of believe that. But yeah, in terms of the kicks, we know he's going to be utilizing it more. It's going to be in Machado Garry.
100%.
The way he was chewing up Neal in that Neal Magny.
Yeah, it was Neal and Magny. But, can Geoff Neal overcome that?
Yeah.
Is kind of the question we're going to be asking ourselves heading into this weekend.
Yeah. I'd say, if you look at their last fights, while we're on that topic of, Neal did get beat down pretty hard in his last fight against Shavkat.
He did.
He's a Ranger striker as well. He was a little bit
boxing.
too much for him with those knees to the body.
Yeah.
It made it not comfortable for him to be in those clinch scenarios in the pocket either. So what tools does Neal have that will actually give Garry problems tonight?
Would be his power, I would say. Yeah.
How many wins by.
And of course, I think he's going to want to close distance, similar way to what we were talking about earlier with Hernandez. I think he's got to make it an ugly fight and really pressure Ian Garry. Because we saw in this Son Canon fight, Son Canon dropped Ian Garry, and that was in close quarters when Garry was kind of getting a little bit too carried away in those exchanges. So if Geoff Neal is able to draw that out of Garry again, then maybe he can land big.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. And let's be honest though, because if we are talking about previous fights as well, school was in session for both of these guys in their last bouts. So Geoff Neal, for example, he was getting schooled by Shavkat, but Garry was undoubtedly the headmaster dishing out the hard lessons for Magny when they fought together, when they came together. So I guess it was Magny's legs which were most compromised when they fought, wasn't it? He chewed that up, and he's practically TKO by just having mercy on his legs.
Nearly.
What do you think Neal's chance? Do you know what it is? Both have Neal in their name.
Yeah,
it's hard. What do you think Geoff Neal's chances are? The southpaw fighter, bearing in mind, against the legs and the head kicks of Garry. That is going to be the worrying part. Southpaw being the key element here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because obviously everything's opened up when it's southpaw versus orthodox. But maybe we might see in Garry use a little bit more start switching in this one, perhaps. But back onto your question, I think for Geoff, I think Geoff Neal needs to just kind of close the distance, back Garry up, go to work go to work on the body first before landing up top. And just really put his punches together, which is something that Neal Magny wasn't capable of doing against Garry, because Garry was so good at utilizing his distance, using his kicks. And in the clinch, there was some good exchanges. Yeah. It was in tight, but there wasn't anything massive that happened in those exchanges, really. It was more or less Garry just using his size and strength, really, to kind of press against Garry. So, that's one thing that Geoff Neal needs to look out for. Because
we brought up against the other fights, it'd probably be a miss if we didn't. Not that there's going to be a lot of grappling in this one, but do you think that the hands or the striking of Garry could bring out the wrestler in Neal? I mean... Maybe.
Let's put it this way. Ian Garry's been doing some jiu-jitsu work down at Chuta Box in Brazil with the likes of Charles Oliveira. So
we saw Burns in his corner last fight.
Yeah, so maybe that is something that he works a lot on in training. Obviously, his fights you don't see that necessarily in his fights, because he has been putting on a bit of a striking masterclass. So maybe he can fall back on that area.
I signed up.
Should Neal be too much for him in terms of pressure?
His
coming forward.
striking masterclass. I signed up to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a 3-month semester. Can't wait to get started. If only. But okay, no, fair enough. And I would only say maybe he brings a grappling because, I don't think, Geoff Neal will bring the grappling, because if he had that capability, we would have seen it against Shavkat. I would have loved to have fallen into when he got out there at the end. I was thinking he's against the fence. He's getting rained down on. Shoot into the hips because you'll survive a bit longer. But he just
I don't think that's Geoff Neal's nature, to be honest.
It's not.
He's more of a striker.
If we were going to see,
and plus grappling is tiring anyways. He is a purple belt now, which I think he obtained in 2021 actually. So he clearly does some jiu-jitsu work in training, but his hands
when you
are
get punched in the head, it's not like a natural kind of response too. No. Let's get those gauges up and you can check out some.
Yeah, absolutely. All
right, so striking, I'm happy to go Machado Garry with that. I'm happy to. I know that Geoff actually. That will leave you with what does Geoff Neal have?
Depends on range for me. It depends on whether or not Gary's able to utilize it.
I would say striking because we'll have to really consider the amount of threats that come from Garry opposed to what comes from Neal. Neal's predominantly hands. Gary's got strike on the legs, strike with the hands, elbows. He can bring a few more tools to the fight.
He's got sharp jab as well as Ian Garry. Yeah, okay.
And then power, I can comfortably go with Neal on. But what would we say about the grappling? He did attempt it with Shavkat in like round 1. He opted not to go back there, maybe obviously, but
Garry, I don't think we've really seen much of it from Ian Garry either.
I haven't seen any at all. I think I will put Geoff Neal in reference to this fight because if anyone's going to put it out desperately, I think that
Geoff Neal's a purple belt. Ian Garry's apparently a black belt in judo, which I never knew. But this doesn't really state what belt he's got in terms of jiu-jitsu. So for that reason, I think if you go straight jiu-jitsu alone, then I'd probably go Geoff Neal.
Geoff Neal to grappling. All right, then speed. I'm happy to go Garry with speed. I think he's fast.
He is quick.
I think he's rapid. But also it's almost illusion because the limbs that he's got in the distance at which those strikes travel, it does seem like a little bit more.
Puts it down to the cardio as the decider.
I would go
difficult.
I've seen, I would say was it? No, I'm thinking of Costa.
Difficult because, of course, Geoff Neal's been in some wars.
He has, but also
and gone the distance in those wars.
Yeah. Here's one that I would like to make as well.
Wasn't much of a war.
Often in the UFC, you'll notice the most muscly or the most ripped fighter to be the one who gasses the most. That particular body physique does require a lot of energy to fuel, basically. So I would probably think, he's a muscular guy. He's probably going to be the one to gas faster as well. But historically, I've seen Garry look fresh for longer as well. I think against Shavkat, I mean, he was beat down. He got attacked in the body, so it did look like he was fatiguing.
Yeah, and that fight was quite high paced.
Yeah,
throughout. Whereas we're not really seeing Ian Garry in those type of firefights.
This is true.
Even the Son Canon one. I mean, I don't think so. Was that Jordan Williams a bit of a? I mean,
I reckon it'll be Garry. I think it'll be. What do you guys think in the chats? I mean, do you think otherwise? Yeah. I do think it'll be Garry. I reckon he's going to have the higher striking output, but ultimately, I think he's going to have the cardio as well for the 3. And on the fight, I would pick Garry too. I feel like the fight for this the Shavkat fight was a very important one for us to learn. An important aspect from Geoff Neal. He surprised me historically against Luque. In hindsight,
that Luque fight was probably his best display that I've seen.
Beautiful in that one. In hindsight, it did look great. And now, of course, against Shavkat, it really sort of exposed some issues, and I don't think they've been patched up coming into this fight against Ian Garry. So for me, I think I like Garry on it.
All right, fair enough. Okay.
Yep.
Let us know in the comment section or all the chats, of course, below. Smash like on the video if you've not done so already. We're now looking down the barrel of the co-main event of the evening between Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa.
These are some ranked fighters here as well. I think the last one's a ranked fight as well.
How is this fight still happening? Because in my opinion, both guys are pull-out merchants.
Well, I'm glad it's happening. I mean, that last fight from Paulo Costa, I was on the sofa lapping it up. Oh,
that was a joy to watch.
It was actually like a movie. I kid you not. I'm watching it thinking, is this what what's it called? Roadhouse would look like?
Yeah.
Man, it was just archetypal. It's so sick. All right, let's have a quick look at it then. We have red corner, Robert Whittaker. He's 25-7. And then we got in the blue corner, Paulo Costa, 14-2. The way this fight sets up, these guys both stand around 6 foot. And the reach advantage is going to be in Robert Whittaker's area. Now, of course, the style of Robert Whittaker anyway, using his range and his distance management to kind of be an extension to his weapons. I think that kind of makes that reach advantage a little bit more juicier than what it looks like there on paper. But yeah, let's not park the power for Paulo Costa. We saw how he went out guns blazing against Luke Rockhold, gave us all a beautiful show. I didn't care who won that fight at the end. It was so sick to watch, and a joy just to catch up again earlier in the week. But that's how this is matching up. That's how the two of them look. I guess a quick question for you, Jake, as we look into this. You got the signature kind of tools that Whittaker has, don't you? So we recognize them. I was talking about it just a second ago. Over the years, we've not really seen him bring anything new, but what he does do really well. So most of his success does come from his abilities to command the range, to blitz it into the pockets and that sort of stuff. But is it high time he showed us something new, like some new wrinkles to his games? So like takedowns, for example. If so, is this the fight to exhibit it?
Yeah, potentially, because Whittaker can wrestle. That's the thing. I think we saw it many a fights ago, more so. I think he may have wrestled with Yoel Romero back in the day. But yeah, for him, it's been mostly a stand-up affair. I think maybe he should mix things up a little bit more in this one. Because, of course, he's coming off of that knockout loss against Dricus du Plessis. Yeah. Okay, that was some time ago. It's good to see him back in there, but I think that could very well still play on his mind. And the fact that he's probably not got too many left in the top level. I mean, how...
Here's another narrative of washing out the old guy.
Oh, but he's 33. That's what's crazy, because he's been around for such a long time. I don't know if he's had multiple injuries, though. That's the thing. Like, how many fights? He's had so many in the UFC. 24-7 as a pro. So that's still a lot. Like,
he's not really been active over the last couple of years, has he?
As much. One last year, 2 in 2022, 1 in 2021, 2 in 2020. It's crazy. Yeah, I guess so. Right. Still holding it down at the top, mind you.
He's so reminiscent, isn't he? It's almost like he just seems quite nostalgic when you think about the sport of UFC. I think he's been around for ages. But no, he's just been in our hearts for a long time. The guy's he's a six striker. He's good. He's great.
Yeah, he's great with hands, good timing.
I feel like the contenders might have got his number. Against Dricus du Plessis, then, of course, that fight, yes, he got knocked out. Some people have been saying he's got caught. I watched the fight again back, and I think, I guess he did, in a way, get caught. But he did look good for the duration of it. I just think defensively, he still feels like he can have his hands down and take the strikes from these tough guys.
But I think in that fight, Dricus's timing, he's very unorthodox. The switch stances that he does as well, it's very sort of herky-jerky. And I think that's what kind of threw Whittaker off a bit, and which led to Dricus for landing the shot that he did.
I tell you what was really difficult about Dricus' fight, looking at it back, it's certainly the constant start switches from orthodox to southpaw. So with Robert Whittaker, as I said earlier, he's a master of working out the range. As soon as you switch stance, he's got to do all that work again. So there's a constant of that. There's a constant dance of him working out the range. Then he switches stances again. Now he's got to reconfigure that range, and Dricus was closer than he thought he was, and pow, he got caught. But yeah, it is impressive. But on Costa's side, the gas tank he exhibited in the Rockhold fight, which I was talking about earlier, was tomfoolery, man. It was one round and done. But it was a sick fight, as I mentioned. I'll say it again. And I actually kind of felt like I was watching a bit of, like I said, the Roundhouse movie. But the credit really has to go to the fact that that card was also in Utah, so just Salt Lake City. So it was actually quite high up, notoriously known for its high altitude. So do you think that we should excuse it or pay attention to the fact that Costa's stamina may be an issue on the night?
That's a really good, important question. No, I think we should give Costa credit for just kind of gritting it out against Rockhold in that fight at high altitude. Yeah. So, give credit where credit's due, but that's the thing. Against Whittaker, I think it'd be a slightly different fight. Yeah. A bit more of a chess match on the feet, perhaps. And I think it would come down to Paulo Costa maybe using his strength, avoiding grappling scenarios, and just laying heavy, man. I think that's what's going to come down to for him. Yeah.
I'd like to see some more footwork from Costa. I don't really see that. And the footwork of Whittaker is just exquisite. And I think that might be very much the differential in the stand-up.
Yeah, I can see Whittaker kind of frustrating Costa. Tagging and moving. Because, that's what I think led to Costa's demise in the Izzy fight in a lot of ways. And Izzy was able to catch him clean after making Costa,
the stance switches. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a kryptonite for Costa. Is those stance switches too. I don't know if we'll see them against Costa on the night, which kind of makes me think that it could be a good comeback. Could be a good win even just for Whittaker. But quick one on this. If we just zoom out of this fight for just a second, how high do these chaps go? Have we seen all that we can see from them in this division?
Difficult now. I mean, I was thinking about it. You think, the mileage that Whittaker has got, he can't really go any higher.
There's more options for Costa.
There is more options for Costa. I think Costa's still fairly young in this game because we've not seen him a great lot. All right, the Rockhold fight was
so sick.
It was good, but Rockhold wasn't really ranked at the time, so it didn't really do him any favors. No. The Marvin Vettori fight, whoa, all right, you could throw that one out of the window because it was that light heavyweight. Costa wasn't playing game and didn't want to cut down to 185. A little bit of a lackluster performance for him. Lack of discipline, I'd probably put that down to. Then, of course, he lost to the champ at the time, Israel Adesanya. Which
it's a good point, actually. If you look at who he's lost to, it's not been nobody's.
No, exactly. And he's actually 32, but when you look at his record, he's only had 16 fights in total, which is probably nearly half of what Whittaker's had.
Yeah.
When you look at that, look.
He's a bit picky and choosy, isn't he?
Yeah, so, and he's, of course, only been finished once as well. So, yeah, I think maybe if Costa's got to stay active, stay healthy, impressive win against Whittaker could very well put him in there. Put him as a potential contender down the line. All of a sudden, things are heating up at middleweight because you've also got Khamzat Chimaev in the mix. So maybe Chimaev Costa could very well happen in the summer. That could be the number one contender position.
Do you reckon Chimaev will go against... I mean, if he gets a win here.
Because, look, you got Dricus versus Izzy. I think the fans probably want that one, even though I don't think that really makes a lot of sense. I'd rather see a Strickland rematch, but I don't think that's going to be made. You can make a case for it. You got Jerry Cannonier, who's waiting in the wings as well. He's on a 2-fight win streak, mind you, which is... All right, not quite the heaviest, but he's up there at number 4. Brendan Allen with a win against Marvin Vettori could also make waves. Yeah. And make a case. Probably, I don't think he's going to be loud enough, though, to make a case. And then, of course, you've got Khamzat, who's going to make the biggest leap of the year. Yeah. It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
He has to be. Everyone's waiting for him to just press go, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think there's visa issues. He says he's not fighting at UFC 300 because of Ramadan. So yeah, I think we'll see him in the summer against a big time opponent, either Cannonier or winner of Costa Whittaker.
I think it's worth moving the whole 300 event just so we can find.
Yeah.
But yeah, the money line real quickly. I didn't mention the other guys, but for this one, it's quite interesting with Robert Whittaker. It's minus 200 to Paulo Costa's plus 170. So the favorite is Whittaker, and the underdog there is Costa.
Striking, I think I'm going to want to give it to Whittaker in this.
Yeah. That was right.
Smart, calculated in his approach, power to Paulo Costa.
Done.
Easy, grappling wise.
Back to, but I think Whittaker.
I'd probably go Whittaker, yeah. He's got good wrestling, so we'll add it on that. Speed.
Whittaker for me.
Quick on the feet, yeah.
Yeah. He's rapid. I've seen him fatigue on the feet. I think, I've seen Costa slow down noticeably. Also, if you saw how that fight panned out between Costa and Rockhold, they got to a point where they were so gassed out that Rockhold was basically doing some pretty sick spinning artillery on the guy, and there was just fancy shots which shouldn't really land because they take a lot of energy and they're so obvious to see, but they're landing so clean because Costa slowed down. But yeah, again, we can excuse some of that with the fact it was high altitude. I'll go with
speed on, yeah, and I'd probably go cardio as well. And that's not to say that Costa can't get the job done.
No,
but the way I'm kind of looking at this is, okay, if you take weight classes out of this, he lost to a decision against Marvin Vettori. MMA math would tell you that Whittaker should win this fight. Well, of course, does MMA
my
math
MMA math told me that Whittaker should have won the fight against Dricus du Plessis. Although actually when that happened, I did think, I don't know why, I did really just ride Whittaker's name more so than I did really pay attention or open my eyes to the history of Dricus.
All the good things that Dricus does, which are quite...
I overlooked him. I counted him out. I did count him out. But with this one, I don't think I'm overlooking too much. I do think, they're going to see some speed and some good stuff from Whittaker, which he's just got to be careful of his hands. Be a little bit more defensively responsible. Either with his hands up at times, it's not really his style, is it? No. With his feet, then he's got to be getting out of striking range a bit more effectively. And because Costa's not switching stances and throwing that little dynamic in there, I have a bit more confidence that Whittaker can stay defensively safe.
Okay, let's get into the main event then. We're here.
We are there.
The most anticipating fight at featherweight for a long time.
Do you want to run us in this one?
I can do, yeah.
Go on.
Alexander Volkanovski defending his strap for the X amount of time. I've literally forgotten how many title defenses is he on now?
It's difficult when you throw the old the Machado fights in there, don't you?
Oh, I know. But 5 consecutive title defenses. There you go. Against the undefeated Ilia Topuria, 14-0. Who's been on an absolute tear since arriving in the UFC? Like, how many knockouts is that in a... Well, okay, decision Josh Emmett, but it was complete annihilation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather he knocked me out after that score. 50-42, one of the judges.
Yeah.
50-40.
Five finishes in 7 fights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty mad. But a lot of questions surrounding this. Starting off then with Ilia Topuria, the challenger, who has been laying waste to this division's elite grapplers and strikers, and in impressive fashion too. He's been dominating, without a doubt, levels above the competition. But just how many levels will we find out on the night? Do you think he may be too confident coming into this? Because he's changed his Instagram handle to UFC champion 15-0, and it looks like he's weighing heavy on that previous outcome of Volkanovski's fight against Makhachev.
Yeah, look, the moment when I saw him walking into the octagon with a turtleneck on, looking like a James Bond villain, I was like, who's this kid growing up to be? Who's this? It's a lot's gone through his head. But look, he's backing up what he's been able to do. I think, is he going to be too confident to it? What builds confidence? It's your achievements. And like you said, he's put away the wrestlers. He's put away the strikers. But not only that, he's made them look silly.
He has.
Which for me, think that his confidence is warranted. However, I do think he will look at this as the toughest opponent yet, because there's a belt around him. If there wasn't a belt there, maybe he might have a little bit of complacency.
He's also
been
filming a documentary during this process as well. Like, that's how confident he is, but he's up against a Volkanovski who he's not really had any chinks in his armor at featherweight.
Yeah, okay, that's important. The division, yeah.
That's what he's forgetting here.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he's underestimating Volk here. And look, I'm saying that Volk's turnaround against Makhachev I think it was too soon. And I think that does weigh heavy on the outcome of this fight, potentially. But I think Topuria needs to keep a cool head, though, when he's in there.
Yeah, that knockout was pretty devastating. And if you want to talk about soon turnovers, how about between Makhachev 1 and Makhachev 2? That was a silly decision. I think it was really looking forward to pleasing people rather than really checking whether he was being sure that he was ready for it. Because you can't really do that again. And he's got to wait for different things to happen in the lightweight division now for him to even have a look over that fence anytime soon. But look, he's an opportunity taker. A lot of people talking about his age and everything as well. I think we see these narratives long enough, don't we? We see the narrative of this absolute dominator in the division, doing well, killing it, and then someone comes along and takes a friend from him. It happens every now and then. We've not seen it this year yet. We haven't seen it for a while since Shevchenko. So it's about high time. We do see someone dethrone an absolute legacy champion. Prior to that, it was, of course, Amanda Nunes, which everyone sort of had such confidence in her as well. And that's where you kind of see the complacency really bleed in once you've been doing it for so long, once you've been holding that belt and that strap for so long. My opinion in this one, there's this very serious threat in Topuria coming up the ranks and just, like Infinity Stones, he's conquering the striker, he's conquering the grappler. I think when it comes up to this, what he's going to be really looking to acquire or achieve, if he's going to unlock an achievement, it would be just his ability to beat Volkanovski mentally, basically. So you got the fighter IQ of Volkanovski, which is going to be something he's going to have to best in this one. Not just physically, but he's really going to have to bring his mind into the game if he's going to be able to beat him in that area too. But, we know his hands are there. We know his grappling's there. Is his mind there? Well, if it is, I think he's got all three he needs to get the job done.
Yeah. No, indeed. Yeah, I can't agree more with that.
It's an interesting one, though. Such an exciting fight.
I know. But, it does come down to, of course, that fight IQ of Volk and whether or not he can potentially tire Topuria over those rounds, because he does fight at quite a high pace as well.
We've seen Topuria do a 5-round yet?
We have, yeah, of course, against Josh Emmett.
Of course, yeah.
Josh Emmett, not the quickest of featherweights. He's explosive, don't get me wrong, but, he's not exactly somebody who's capable of fighting at a high pace throughout 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Volkanovski is that guy. So, it's...
And
easily
Emmett gets a bit stiff as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Volkanovski.
And he's had some injuries in his time as well. So, for me, it's going to be intriguing to see whether Volk can beat up that front leg of Topuria and just kind of make Topuria miss and then capitalize for me.
It's going to be a big question. It is going to be a big question. Do you think this hits the ground?
I think it can.
Shall we look at what they look like grappling-wise?
Yeah, I think it can. But maybe it would be Volk to initiate and put Topuria down on his back to kind of wear him out. But I think Topuria is quite good off of his back as well. Quite underrated in that area. Triangle straight armbar in Brave CF. Anaconda choke. He's got a couple of guillotines on his resume as well.
Didn't he take Jai Herbert down as well in that fight? Or he just punched him clean?
No, he that was a clean knockout on that one. I'm not sure if there was any grappling involved in that. So, yeah, and we've seen him show some good wrestling as well.
It certainly
Topuria,
has.
but let's just see what his counter wrestling is going to be like against Volk.
Takedown defense seems to be relatively strong, 92%. In terms of who's going to be initiating the wrestling, if you think Volk's going to come after that, I always thought that Topuria's power was somewhere on par with what Emmett was, and I would have put Emmett more powerful than Volk, even, to be honest. Striking wise,
it's Topuria's boxing, man. It's insane. To give striking in this is really hard.
Sure, we'll get to that in just a second. I mean, looking at some of the differentials before we go into the next scene, then it's output. Volks has that. He certainly does. He's got high output, and then absorb per minute is around about the same for them both. If you look at the money odds on this one, look, minus, it's difficult. You know, even the money line is hard to differentiate them. Minus 112 for Volk, only a slight favorite, but that's the 108 for Topuria. So, yeah, there's not a lot in it here. Okay, cool. Let's get those gauges up then and see where we are when it comes to the striking of this. You said that this is going to be one of the hardest ones to do, striking, huh?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Looking at paper here is going to help us out. Output is, it's Volk. Legs, leg kicks, head, I don't know. It is tough.
Yeah, maybe Volk's got a bit more of a diverse game, but
who's going to have power?
It's the boxing. Power is Topuria, I think, all day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Topuria gets the power. Yeah, fair enough.
But, yeah, when he puts his boxing together, it is insane. In fact, I was just going to go on to the poll we put earlier. 64% are going with Team Volk over Team Topuria this weekend.
Wow,
so
you guys
that's quite impressive. But, yeah.
How close was that? 50 something and 50?
60 something.
60 something.
64%, did I say? 64% for Volk.
Wow. 36 to Topuria. Okay, so you guys are edging towards Volk. And look, he's been doing it for so long. Why wouldn't he continue to do so? Well, I'll draw to your attention Shevchenko. I'll draw to your attention Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, the times do come, but
it's like once a year, isn't it?
Is it really Volk's time?
About once a year. Is this the year for Volk, or could I see it being?
Yeah, you usually get at least one fall off the perch.
Yeah.
Like a big name. Volk's kept it for so long though, as well.
It makes him perfect candidate for it. To be fair,
speed. I kind of want to go for Volk.
Yep,
I think.
Yeah, I would agree on that. To be
cardio as well.
Yeah, he's built differently. And then when we're looking at grappling and striking, Volk's used it.
Volk's submission
so
defense is really good.
I don't think anyone wants to go there with him, to be fair. I can't remember the last time we wanted to take him there. Of course, Machado, yeah, but different weight
defensively, he was defensively sound there, and yeah, against a much bigger dude.
It's hard, isn't it?
Grappling.
It's really hard.
I think I'll go Volk in that.
Yeah.
For
grappling. Volk gets grappling.
And I would want it to go striking, but I don't know, man.
I've seen what I've seen from Topuria.
Topuria's boxing is too good. Volk's overall striking, the way he's able to utilise his kicks as well is really good.
Yeah, here's the thing as well. Here's a factor you also got to lean on. For a long time, I would have said striking this division. Historically, I've always liked Holloway striking. It was so sick and it was so good. Volk showed us that he's bested that.
Yeah.
He's bested that. He's been tried against what we've seen to be some of the best strikers in the UFC. Volkanovski's.
And his range is really good as well.
What if I was to swap that round to that way? Grappling wise, but are you so confident on grappling for? We've seen Volk use it, against Makhachev defensively. It's been quite good, but I
think both guys are black
belts.
Who's got
the most submissions? Wins by submissions. It's Topuria.
Topuria's got 8.
62% of his wins have been by sub, and 12% of Volk's wins have been by. So I think we might end up having to lean on paper. Go on paper.
I think
because
but then.
Fight time's different, but if we're looking at and also
Volk's not submitted anyone in the UFC.
No.
And Bryce was a good grappler. Oh, actually, but then Topuria beat the piss out of him before that, though. before that. Yeah, he submitted Bryce.
He did.
But
Yeah.
strikes led to that.
Beating the submission artists, beating the power strikers, beating the strikers. Like that's the history of his last 3, I'd say. Jai's a good striker. Emmett's got the power. Bryce has got the grappling, the wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's the 3 Infinity Stones. Now he's going after the mental,
the guy who can do it all.
Ability.
The guy who can do it all in the division.
If he can conquer Volk, it's going to be on his fighter IQ, and then that will be the 4 Infinity Stones in his run to gold, I guess.
Yeah.
Imagine. All right, that wraps it up for us then. And on the night, I think you're going to Topuria, aren't you?
I'm going with Topuria. Yes, I'm sticking with it.
It's not a silly
Sticking
idea.
with it.
I think I've always said Volk. I can't remember what I put for the end of the year. I have to check that. But to make sure I'm not contradicting myself again. But I have said Volk looks so.
No, you went with Arnold Allen.
Oh yeah, okay, I can say anyone then. It's open.
Don't matter.
All right, cool. Look, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Woo!
I've had a wait of a time going for this. To be fair, this is one of the most exciting cards I've seen coming back. I do think UFC 300's got its work cut out for it.
We're going to find out in a few days who the main event is.
Yeah. So that's coming in too. Do like and subscribe on the channel. Hit that like button and do follow so you know exactly when we're going to be going live on this weekend. It's 3 a.m. over here on this side of the pond in the UK. So you guys can watch along the event with us. So what we say over here all the time is do not watch alone, watch along. Because this is where all the fun is going to be when you're plugging into the UFC. Ash will be here on the couch as well, up in the height. We'll be doing some fun things on the channel. So make sure you guys are there and commenting in the chats as well.
That's right.
Right, awesome. That's all
Cool.
for us.
That's all.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Ciao for now. See you in a bit.